All right, so looking at the daily chart today, still in an uptrend, right? 5 days much above the 20-day MA, but we are retesting it right now, right? So we got some news coming out, and we may start to see 5-day MA become resistance, right? This is important. This will create a range between both of the MAs, and if the bears would take this over, they would want to keep it within this range so that the 5-day MA can cross over the 20-day MA uh, to start a downtrend, right? So important to watch today, right? See if that happens. Otherwise, if the bulls show up, right, an inverted head and shoulder could also just appear off of the 20-day MA to continue the uptrend. So still in an uptrend, right? Very simply, but possibilities of downside today. Now over to the multi-layout. So far, retested the 690.62 area pre-market, right? Building liquidity within this area will be ideal to see if we do attempt to grab the liquidity off the blue algo with the orange precision here, right? So if we do start to sell something like this, ideally. If not, if they cannot break it down here and they need to rebuild liquidity, right? Very possible as long as it stays within this wedge, right? Um, any long, very simply, 5-day MA must become support. There's a possibility that the retest of the 20-day MA, this would be a little bit longer term. I don't think this would happen today. But if they were to retest down here, they'd have liquidity built with off of this 5-day MA, and then a breakout on the peak algo when 5-day MA reclaims as support after a retest of the 20-day MA, right? So this is very possible too, but probably not today. It would probably be end of the week. Right, so currently we're trapped within a range between around the 695 level to about the 690-ish level, right? This is where the liquidity is building. The 10 a.m. news today, very important to keep an eye on, right? If we sell to the downside, this level needs to become resistance. If we buy to the upside, this level needs to become support, right? You'll see that with pink and with blue. Don't overcomplicate it, right? It's always level by level, algo by algo, right? And now on the 1 minute, right? Very clearly, you'll be able to see any kind of structure. We're likely to, let's see what the Qs are. Yeah, so we'll see if we have a retest of that 5-day MA off the open before news. That's a pretty good chance that's going to happen. Head back up to there, build liquidity within this area, and then news will come out and either sell off or they'll start to buy it up. 5-day MA should open higher. I could be wrong. We will see. All right. Yeah, 5-day opened slightly above yesterday. All right. Okay, take a look at the daily if you have not. Look at where we're at. 5-day MA is starting to plateau, right? It didn't open up as much higher as it had been prior, right? If price stays below, right, it will start to plateau. So the bears don't technically need to sell off now, right? They could keep it here, and the 5-day MA will start to plateau, right, and start to come back down as the 20-day MA will start to catch up. So the larger aspect of what could happen in the next few days is a large range in between the MAs. All right, keep an eye on the MAs today. Keep an eye on Qs. All right, look at the 30. What happened? All right. All right, remember, not much to do in the first, truthfully, first 10, 15 minutes, especially before news comes out. Just be a little bit more patient today. You don't need to take any crazy trades early. There's really no point. No structure, no trade. At this point, right, just finding the algos, allowing the market to do what it's got to do. I would like to see a retest of the 5-day MA, build liquidity up there, and then maybe attempt to grab liquidity below after, right? Something like this. All right, if buyers are going to show up, you can allow this to form as support. Try to spot out liquidity levels, right? That'll be your first big thing you need to do. If you don't see any liquidity built at a level yet, probably time to be patient, right? All right, so very simply, we're just waiting for the news to come out, allow liquidity to form, right? What I'd want to see in this juncture, if we were to sell, right, I want a head to form, allowing this to be the left shoulder liquidity. So just be patient. If it sells early, all right, you're likely to see this later on anyways. So just wait. Remember, when your main goal in the beginning is to be watching who's in control, right? If you see the sellers come out and start to break out of range, you look for continuation structure. It's as simple as this, right? Just wait. Okay, at this point, right, sellers are selling within the green precision. This is ideal to see. Still discovering all the algos. At this point, right, I still want to wait for news. Um, but if we can get this to the downside, that'd be ideal, right? Any long, teal's firstly got a break, but I would like to see a deep inverted head and shoulder. It'd be very ideal if we get it here. Um, there would likely be liquidity that builds with off of this level here. So you'd see something like this, right? Where the teal would break with the 520 DMA becoming support. Right, so that'd be ideal. Keep an eye on the cues. They're retesting the opening print off of 20 DMA there. Okay, I've added the blue precision now. I still need a little bit more confirmation on this one. Now, ideally, you understand that the selling continuation is within the teal here. All right, so you don't go long until teal break. Any long before, truthfully, you really don't want to go long until 5 DMA retest. This is what I'd want to see, right? Much more ideal if we got this, right? 5 DMA retest, then a breakout to the upside. Um, Anything before then, truthfully, it could still become a bear flag off of it. So just keep that in mind. A little more ideal is if this is the left shoulder here, right? We get a head above, a bit more ideal. Right, as long as it's within teal though, right? Technically, these are all bear flags. As long as it stays within pink, it really can. But with 5-DMA involved, truthfully, you do need to wait for this to go long. I would be very wary of that. Now, when we get up here, right, it is bullish. As long as the 5-DMA is resistance, you can't really go long. It could start to chop within this area, especially if the news today is a nothing burger. So just keep that in mind. Good range so far today, about 2.65 points, right? So we'll have some action today. That's good. Yesterday was good action as well, right? If you were trading. Now, I would never recommend trading the whole day. It's not worth your time, but there definitely were some decent trades. All right, let's hope this wants to build liquidity. Stay within this range till the news. Then the news comes out. Hopefully it doesn't just break out or sell off right off the news candle. Hopefully it traps and then does the move afterwards. Um, but if it does, right, the breakout whichever way on the news allows structure to form, right? So if we push all the way up here, right, wait for a structure to form. If we push all the way down here, wait for a structure to form from the news, right? Always be a bit more patient when news is about a release. Normally price will stay within range until that happens. Right, so far this isn't a hard sell-off or anything like that quite yet, but we are below the 690.62 level, right? So it's ideal to be looking short. It's just not very easy with the structures at hand, right? Especially before the 10 a.m. news. So like right now, if you're taking the magenta break within the blue precision, you need to be protecting, right? Leaving runners, sure, but it's not very ideal. An ideal structure is if it comes back, right, to grab it as liquidity. Much more ideal if this happens. right? You see support wicks down here, resistant wicks up here. Be very careful. If you're taking anything, it's got to be protected within the candle. It's possible, yeah, but not ideal, right? Remember, if you are very new to trading, I would suggest just staying out of this, waiting for an actual proper structure to appear here. You'll make a lot better, you'll make more money overall. Um, you'll be able to build more confidence just waiting for better structure. You'll be able to see this clearly for what it is, right? This is not ideal to be taking, right? It's still selling within the teal. And before news, it's not really worth your time. If you're scalping it, kudos to you if you know what you're doing. If you don't know what you're doing and you're scalping, please just don't, right? Wait for a structure to appear. I promise you, a lot of you who think you need to take 30 trades in a day with a contract or two, um, you can just wait for a proper structure and be able to take 5 contracts, 6 contracts, and make even more. Uh, so just be patient, right? Just wait. A lot of you will settle for bad structural trades where you get bad entries on top of it as well. My advice to you is just give yourself more patience, wait for a better setup, right? If you were going to take it here, uh, these areas would have been the best area. Um, it's possible, sure, just you have to be careful of the news candle. If that news candle wasn't in your favor, man, oh man. Protect more here as well, please. If you did take anything, big red candles are an indication to time to sell some more, all right? See where it's at with the teal, with this key level. Right, so in this area, I still prefer to retest the 5-day MA, right? Maybe we get liquidity build here for a nice breakout to the upside, right? We may start to range, sell down, push back out. Be a trade here with the magenta if it forms a decent enough structure. If there's going to be a dump, a major one, right? It's got to involve the 20-day anyways. Keep an eye on that 30-minute as well. We've got pretty strong selling here, right? It's busted through the magenta, blue, beautifully. We still got good volume, so there definitely is going to be a trade today. So you can just be patient. Firstly, watch to see if we build a head and shoulder to the 5-day or 20-day MA. Sorry. Something like this would be ideal. Definitely could still retest this 690.62. Keep an eye on the QQQ 20-day MA as well. All right. So far, I'd still like to see this, right, as the left shoulder. There's likely to be a magenta within this area here. So if we could form a head above, right, this would be a bit more ideal to see. Right, this is very obvious liquidity building, right? Volume is starting to drop off a bit, so keep an eye on that. Ideally, we see the retest of the upper pink to form this bear flag, right, with magenta. Much more ideal. Um, we didn't get a retest of the 5-day MA, 20-day MA here, so I was hoping to see that. Maybe we will. All right, that's a nice green candle, but not much you can do about it. Wait for follow-up. If you zomied because of a lack of continuation, maybe off the blue, be a little bit rough. Teal here, watch for teal, green precision, magenta support. Ideally, you're looking for your next target. Where would your next target be? Right, around the pink above. Right, so if you took the trade here, not that bad, right? Protect. If your buying precision is green, if that's the one you bought within, you need to make sure you're cutting and protecting with green, right? All right, not too bad. Watch 690.62, right? It's going to line up with this magenta. Got to be protected by now. If you're not protected by now, you're doing it wrong, right? All right, now you see the section of liquidity down here, right? If you're in long, great, right? This is beautiful. How do we know? Buyers show up at 10:11, breaking through resistances, right? You get a retracement right towards the precision magenta support. That's a good trade, right? Left shoulder liquidity, all right? This is what formed up from a lack of continuation. Ideally, you were waiting for a head to form, which means you could be zooming to catch the move up, right? That's how zones of mutual interest work. Both sides wanted to go up. Now, right, we're going to want to see if the bulls can push out, retest 5-day MA, or stay within and form a bear flag. All right, so within this range, be very, very cautious now. No silly mistakes. Wait for structure. Wait for them to tell you what's going to happen next, right? It's still in a buying precision, right? We still have the orange here, so keep that in mind. Don't go against it. Right? I cut here. I don't hold, right? No reason to hold. Why? 690.62 in magenta. Green precision breaks. I'm okay. I can wait. It's a good trade. You don't need to worry. They even gave you a secondary fill, right? So there was two decent entries here, right here and right here, right? Not ideal to take anything now. Why? There's no precision here to tell us that this is headed higher. We just retested a resistance level that I wanted to see a bear flag form off of. We have liquidity below, right? But we also have this void, right? So normally what happens with voids is they'll want to hold it within this range, build liquidity, and then maybe attempt to sell after, right? So just be very cautious if we stay within this pink here. Try to think, right, between, well, truthfully now, between these areas, you have to be very cautious until liquidity built above to come to grab this, right? Can you see this playing out? How would you get involved, right? A possible starter is if we push out. Oops, let me draw that a little bit better. We build liquidity, push out, come back in, and sell off like this, right? You want to see the strength of this head, right? Right shoulder forming up off 690.62. Very possible. Seeing magenta's control. That would likely line up with orange break, right? At this point, you're waiting for liquidity to build. Simple as that. Spot out your liquidity below. How could it line up with magenta? If it can't line up with magenta, that normally means you either need to wait for a break and retrace of magenta, or there's a stronger algo, which there is. There's a stronger taper, but it doesn't need to be applied quite yet. It'd be something like this. Alright, be cautious. Allow the orange to break. This wants to come early. You'll be able to see a precision appearing. There isn't... I would have preferred a head here, right? Now this could be a head for here. So just watch. Um, Normally I like it to be the micro of of structures, if that's even a word, right? If this is a microstructure above, this is what I would want, right? For entry. Otherwise, I'll wait for the volatility to increase. You don't need to take anything up here, right? You can wait for magenta. Do you see how this will become a section of liquidity with this being a section of liquidity, right? In between this, without getting a proper fill, you may become liquidity, right? You may get trapped. Okay, if you're taking anything, I'm going to put down the precision now. Try to identify how it's selling with what precision, right? Otherwise, if you get involved at the bottom of a red candle, you're going to lose. If you're taking puts at a bottom of a red candle, you're going to lose. The chances of it working, unless you have a bad stop loss, which just means you're not doing it right in the long run anyways, you need to be waiting for green candles. Do you even see a left shoulder for entry here? Probably not, right? Not in this area unless it gets down to here, right? Anything you take up here, you have to be scaled down. Try to identify who's selling. To me, it looks like it's likely going to be teal. Stays within blue, great. Just scale down, take much less size than you normally would, as the probability of you getting shaked out of your trade pretty high, right? Because it needs to rebuild liquidity. Instead, when the market is in a very slow state, right, you can wait to buy retracements that are a little bit better after a shakeout happens, right? As long as it still is within your resistances. So what I'm talking about is if we had a nice stop hunt. It's possible, not ideal, right? That's more of a scalp, it is, right? I'd rather you wait for this. But if you're learning how to scalp, you want a good fill. You don't want a fill that's not ideal, right? So here we've got large seller volume coming in. They're going to attempt, right? Ideal. Right now we have a more ideal way to enter because we see it's blue precision. This gives you information. Beautiful, right? I was able to see that seller appearing, able to take the trade. Why blue precision showed it was playing resistance, right? It was the one that's selling. I take the position. Make sure you're protected by yellow. Simple as that, right? You also notice trades like to line up with each other. A prior breakout point returned back as resistance with magenta break. All right, I'll wrap up in about 5 minutes here, but I do think we're going to continue to get some action, so that's why I want to stay for about another 5 minutes. We'll see if this continues here. A not so bad entry, by the way, was also 1029. So if you did take it there with magenta becoming resistance with the green precision, well done, right? That's where the left shoulder liquidity was. Right, if you're holding runners, blue precision is fine. This is not as easy to reload off of, um, but the possibility is we do have resistant wicks off of this yellow. Problem here is it's just we have an easy target with 20-day MA below. Just be cautious. All right, protect, get a good fill if you haven't. I would wait now if you haven't gotten entered. I would wait now for 20-day MA retest if you're not in. If you are in, right, and you got a good fill within this area, that's fine as well. Right, you see yellow's becoming resistance. Not too bad of a trade. All right. At this point, right, you can't really be taking anything. I prefer you wait for 20-day MA now before shorting, something like this ideally. Right, you'd see this with the yellow algo. Um, yeah, I mean, this right here, probably the best trade of the day, right? Realistically, you should have seen this coming as long as we didn't close the cup at high day, right? Bear flag within the pink algo. Simple as that, right? Um, we knew where the liquidity was. I wanted you to see the precision appear for itself, so go review that, right? You had confirmation that it was blue precision selling, right? And we were forming a bear flag because we never closed the cup or retested 5-day MA, and we had liquidity right below, right? So you could either take it as soon as you see the blue precision is activated, right? You could have taken it here as well. That's fine. I would have waited for a little bit more confirmation. That's what I did. I did do. Or you could have taken it on magenta break where the liquidity is at, right? Simple as that, right? Both are great ways to enter the market. Um, review that entry. Review that entry as much as you can. It's going to help you. All right. So with that being said, it's time to wrap up. Hopefully everybody here did well today. If you didn't take any trades, go review. There were good opportunities today, right? Um, yeah. Yeah, other than that, everybody take care. Don't overtrade now until we retest. Well, don't ever overtrade, but don't look for bigger trades until we retest 20-day MA or 5-day MA. It's that simple. All right. All right, guys. Take care.